direct connection to Rowan. Um, Now, granted, I'm about to like really tick off the admissions team and be like, I went to PCOM, but there it is. Dean Watkins just lost her mind and
Yeah,
like she's fired.
we kind of like them.
See? But um, but no, in all sincerity, I did my residency at and stayed on because I love teaching. And so I wanted to stay in academics and I just, made me a great offer and here I am. So I stayed for about 10 years, did all kinds of things. I ran classes in the first and second year. I helped out with the third year clerkships I'm going to talk to y'all about. I ran the residency program. I'm an OBGYN by trade. Ran the residency program for 7 years, GME experience. And then I went on to work at a hospital in Delaware known as Christiana Care for 5 years and do faculty development there. So teaching teachers how to teach. And that was a really cool job. But then this dean position opened up, and it's pretty much what I've been working for my whole career. So I'm back. So Rowan is a big part of what grew me up as a doctor as well as an academic, and I will always, always hold a special place in my heart for it. I have never been back to PCOM. I won't set foot there. Happy, Paula? Thought so. So, I thought she'd like that. But if nothing else, I'll be honest with you tonight, guys. So, listen, they asked me to kind of uh, do sort of the basics of, hey, what's the third and fourth year really like? How do we provide for you guys during those times and what's available to you? And I have your questions. I still have the Chromebook open with the questions available on the other screen. But basically, let me kind of quick take you through it, and then I want to answer whatever questions y'all have. Okay. So first, you spend the first 2 years in the classroom, and as we all say, drinking from the fire hose. Like tons of information will come at you anywhere you go to school, but less at Rowan because we teach you really efficiently. But my boss is the dean of the first and second year. Can you tell? So truly, you spend your first 2 years in the classroom, as you know, and then you get hungry to get out into the clinical world. And that's right when I get to grab you. So it's perfect. It's like, it's the easiest sales pitch on earth. And this transition, we want to make sure you do it right. So what happens is you finish your second year coursework, and then what we do is we hold basically it's called a clinical skills course. Okay. So to make sure you have all the skills and all the basics down, you've got to try it once before you head out into the hospitals. We make sure we do a basic life support class and advanced life support class. You guys practice drawing blood on each other's. You start IVs on each other's. English, not my major, sorry. But the oh gosh, you go to our really cool sim lab and do simulations with sort of emergencies so that if you end up in a code, you feel a little more prepared. I could go on and on and on, but there's this 2 week clinical skills course that's just experiences. Like the kind of thing where it's a pass fail course, just show up, soak it in because it's the important stuff you need. Then that clinical skills course happened a few weeks ago. Most of our students are taking step one, level one of the boards, like the beginning of May, middle of May, somewhere in May. So we've built into our curriculum 2 whole months before you even start your rotations to kind of study. So you have dedicated study time to make sure you're successful on the board exams. And I just said you start your clinical clerkships, basically your third year, in what's May of your second year. That's kind of weird, right? Most people start July, right? It's kind of, you start in May for a really good reason, so that you finish in May of your fourth year and then have another 2 months of dedicated study time to take level two. So the two biggest tests you'll take, we absolutely have arranged our entire curriculum around allowing you the study time you need to make sure you're the best prepared you can be. All right. So let's talk about that third year real quick. So that third year is basically what we call your core clerkships, which most schools will say that as well, right? And you do your basics. Our basics are as follows. Internal medicine, 8 weeks. Family medicine, 8 weeks. I had a really fun color-coded graph to show you. Sorry about the new computer thing.
Do
Surgery,
you want to send it,
6
Dr.
weeks.
Tartaglia? I'll pull it up for you.
much tech you want me to do in one night, John? Really?
So sorry.
Let me deliver your baby. I'm your girl. Like, let's just you already told me it was an oyster. Just give me a minute. So, um, so I am 8 weeks, FM 8 weeks, surgery 6 weeks, psych 4 weeks, OB 4 weeks, peds 4 weeks, cardiology 4 weeks, geriatrics 4 weeks. One of the crown jewels at Rowan, there's I'd say two distinct crown jewels. One of them is geriatrics. Um, we are kind of nationally known for that. And it's something that brings together your FM training, your IM training, neurology, and the amount of the population in this country that's over the age of 65 is very large. It's training that's integral to what you'll do for the rest of your life, you know? Um, then we have a 4 week experience that's broken into two-week blocks in your third year. OMM, osteopathic manipulative medicine, 2 week third year clinical experience, and 2 weeks of neuromuscular pain management. What that is, it kind of brings in that sort of that OMM training and that primary care bit. And what it really is 2 weeks of physical med and rehab, neurology, and by the end of it, you will have completed all of the coursework to be certified to um, do what's called medication assisted treatment. We have an opioid epidemic in this country. And so during those 2 weeks, you learn and work with docs side by side who are treating opioid addicted patients and helping them with drugs like you've maybe heard of methadone, Suboxone, Subutex, drugs that help them recover from that disease. So it's important, I think, that you get exposed to these things as well. So that's sort of our third year clerkships. All right. And there's a few other, there's, you know, 2 weeks off over Christmas you have off and other little fun adventures in between. But that is the meat of those clerkships. Where do you do them? I think one of the questions we got was, hey, is everything in Jersey and PA? Nope. Delaware and soon to come Maryland. We actually have kind of spread out your third year clerkships a little more across the tri-state and then some area. Why? Because we know you guys live from all over the place, right? So people that are from North Jersey would like to go back to North Jersey. Maybe some people from North Jersey don't want to go back and they want to go to Christiana Care and the VA down in Delaware and do their experiences down there, or stay in South Jersey because they've grown roots here. Okay, maybe we're in talks to develop a hub outside the beaches of Maryland, with a neat level 3 trauma center with all kinds of amazing facilities. So there's all sorts of opportunities in South Jersey, Central Jersey. We have 2 different hubs. In North Jersey, we have 4 or 5 hubs. So wherever you want to go. Pennsylvania, we do not actually have any hubs for third year clerkship. Okay, so we have them, you can go anywhere in the country and frankly, anywhere in the world you want to go for your fourth year rotations. Absolutely. We support that. And the only time we ever shut down our international rotations that were requested or anything from all over the country was when COVID hit. And there was a national mandate to shut that down. But otherwise, no, we encourage you guys to get out there, go rotate wherever it is that you have an interest in training and potentially working for the rest of your life. And we have mechanisms by which to support you. So the world is your oyster in the fourth year. All right, you got to give me the third year, guys. Okay, you still got to get through your core clerkships, but that's the deal. In the fourth year, so you get through these, you do all your meat and potatoes, as I call it, right? You do your foundational stuff. And then you got your fourth, you get your 2 months off, you take your boards, and that positions you to have your board scores available for your residency interviews. Your scores are in and they're in early. So you're a little more competitive when it comes to interviewing for residency, which is great. And that's our goal as well. So fourth year consists of 2 more core clerkships, just 2, emergency medicine and ICU. We ask you to do a subspecialty rotation, something, but depending on what you want to go into, you're probably going to do one of those anyway. And then you have 16 weeks of elective, 4 months, and 10 weeks of flex time. Yeah, I said flex time, vacation. Because what you kind of have to do is you want to think about, what kind of test taker are you? Do you need a little extra time before that test? What the rotations in all these different hospitals all over the country all start at different times. We're not all on the same schedule. You have to be able to take a week off between rotation X and rotation Y so that you can align and start on time. So that's what the 10 weeks of flex time are for. Do many students save about 4 of them for the very end and finish their 4th year early so they have plenty of time off before residency? Yes, they do. So I'm learning very quickly. Most of our students are done and pretty much on a beach somewhere by about April. So come to Rowan. But no, in all sincerity, I think the flex time is really important to be able to say, hey, 4th year, the world is your oyster, right? You've got to be able to have that schedule flexibility to do it. So that's pretty much the at least the spirit behind our 3rd and 4th year of why we scheduled it the way we did, to give you the best chance at boards, give you the best positioning for residency applications as well, and your interviewing spots to compete for those. Um, I think I addressed some of the questions about, where in the country you can go and rotate. Um, but people were asking about, how do you choose a hub site and how do you get assigned to these rotations? Well, in your 3rd year, we have what's we call a hub lottery, but it's sort of like a hub request system. Um, we know all you guys, kind of make a list. You rank all of the hubs. So you tell us kind of where you want to be, and it's telling, right? So let's say you're from North Jersey. I'm going to see like all the North Jersey hubs in a row, and then the Central Jersey, and then the South Jersey, because hey, you want to live in a certain area. Okay, understood. Some people will specifically rank the hubs with residencies because they only want to be at a place where they might do a residency. They want to check them all out before their 4th year and not spend 4th year doing that. Some people, so there's all different ways. But you go into what's essentially kind of like a match system. And based on that and a bunch of other factors, we kind of match you up with your hubs. And the vast majority of people kind of get what they're interested in, truly. Um, so let's see. Oh, actually, one of the questions I got, when you decide where you want to rotate, are there any places that are not on the list for rotations that would make an exception for students? So when it comes to 3rd year, you're kind of at your hub. 3rd year, because it's such a strict curriculum and there's very distinct testing source, each of our core clerkships has the same assessment tools, and we make sure all of the syllabi are, in line. So there's a very consistent experience for all of you guys all over the state. We work with those hubs to make sure that happens, get you the most consistent experience possible, considering you're at all these different places, right? So we do, sometimes we can jump from one hub to the other. We actually do that in North Jersey. Some of them are so close, but it's not a standard practice, you know? But that's not to say we don't add offices onto our hubs all the time. So, hey, listen, I want to do family practice with this person. Well, let's vet them and see if they're getting the syllabus, sit down and talk with them. Like, is that an appropriate person who has the credentials and the experience and the wherewithal to teach you appropriately to bring you to the level we know you guys want to be at. So, but yes, there's some flexibility built in, but much more in 4th year than 3rd year for the sake of consistency and a high quality education. Um, oh, actually, shoot, I left it downstairs. I'm so mad at myself. What are the most common residency programs that students match into? DOs are primary care people at heart, truly. I think if I remember the stats correctly, I just pulled them to answer that question for you guys. Um, but I think like 47% end up in primary care fields. Now, primary care is not just family medicine, all right? So primary care is family med, internal med, and those people can go on to do fellowships, as can the FM people, um, peds and OB. So I think those are the main core hubs that are considered main core topics, I should say, that are considered primary care. So amongst all of those, that's kind of where a good half of our students match. You'll find that fairly consistently, at least a good third to 40% minimum at most medical schools, I think would answer the question that way. But nonetheless. Um, and I there was just the word neurology on my list. John is as good as tech as I am, apparently. Kidding, John. I was paying attention. But I looked it up, and we have 8 people who matched in neuro this year. And just to let you all know, because I think match rates are really important, right? Because that's the point of all of my work, the end game, the outcome, the key is to get you into residency spots, right? To make sure you guys have the positioning and the ability to be best positioned to succeed, right? Can't do it for you, of course. Wish we could sometimes, but to get you in those seats. Um, we had a 98% match rate, which means 4 people didn't match. Of note, 2 of them didn't want to go into GME. Okay. Um, so one went into biomedical sciences, and the other, I think, was pursuing a PhD. Like they had no interest in GME whatsoever. That left 2 people unmatched. That's pretty darn good across the country, I will say. So as out of an entire class of, I think we had, and it's interesting because I think 200 people went into the match, like 199 and 195 matched. So that's pretty good stats. You're welcome to compare them against other schools, but we're pretty proud of that. Um, we have a lot of Jersey people here, and we are also proud that we matched many of our people into our hub sites. People were happy. What makes me happy is that our students want to go on and train where they did their third year clerkships. And so we had a ton of people end up doing that as well. So that was like, okay, good. They're really happy with these sites and they had such a good experience. They want to stay there and do their residencies. So, um, and one of the last 2 questions I have on the pre-asked list is, can you apply for MD and DO residencies? Can you apply for both? There's no difference anymore. There is only one residency system. There is no such thing as a DO or an MD residency anymore. They are just residencies. As of 2020, there was a merger. Um, everybody in the country, frankly, everybody in the world is in the same match. So our foreign medical school friends, MD friends, our DO friends, everybody is in the exact same match. So all of the programs are just accredited programs, AC by the ACGME. Okay, that's where all of our students and all our DO students go. And I think I pretty much answered, how do away rotations and audition rotations work? Are we allowed to find different sites on our own? Absolutely. We have tons of resources. There are 2 people that work in my office. And by the time you get to second year, you will know them by heart, Marty and Robin. And they pretty much know every place to rotate. Oh, what do you want to be? Oh, you want to do ortho? Mark's like, oh, you got to go here, here, here. We match people here, here, and here. And this is what you got. Did you do enough research? Because the career counseling that comes from both our office as well as student affairs is a little overwhelming at times. Please engage it. They're an amazing resource. I hope I didn't close the door. Meet Parker. Yeah. When I ran back in with the laptop, guess who left the door of the office open? Eventually, you may meet him. Sorry about that. But truthfully, are there any other questions I can answer for you guys? I'm happy to do so. Um, I think at the end of the day, when you're looking for a school, I can appreciate that geography is important. I can appreciate that ensuring that you have a variety of places to rotate and flexibility to make sure you're as positioned as you can be for your residency match. Because, if you're going to start this process, you want to be able to come out the other end with a residency program. I can tell you that the 2 individuals that did not match, there were very clear reasons why that happened, and I wouldn't worry about those 2 people. Just trust me on that one. But the truth of the matter is, you put your head down, you work hard. I know that you pretty much can make any experience you want to at Rowan-SOM. So that's why I'm kind of so proud to work here and why I actually came back. They sucked me back in. So, all right, what questions can I answer for you guys? Please, anything.
Sarah, you want to get started with some of the questions in the Q&A, and we'll take turns again?
Yeah, so the first one that came up, someone wants to know if there are hubs in New York.
There are no hubs for third-year clerkships in New York, but there are some where you look out the window and you can see New York. Does that count? We have hubs in Jersey City at Christ Hospital, Bayonne, Morristown. I know you can't see New York. Did fail geography as a young student. Still know the capitals. I'm gonna own that one. But truly, and when you rotate through Christ and Bayonne, you actually do your OBGYN at Hoboken. So I know you can see New York from there. So hopefully that counts. But when it comes to your fourth year audition rotations and beyond, you're welcome to spend as much time as you want in New York.
So I got messaged a question. What's the timeline for residency interviews?
Timeline is a little tough. Over the summer, the application system opens and interviews, audition rotations kind of start, and you do all these audition rotations kind of through the fall, and then late fall through early winter. So kind of like through the holidays and into like, sort of January-ish, you're interviewing for residencies, and then the match is in March. The match is basically where you go out and interview at all these different places and you make a rank list of your top choices from number one to number whatever, and you submit it to this magical computer system called the match. And everywhere in the country does this. I'm sure you've heard this before. And the computer runs all of its happy algorithms. And now is not a good time for tech support. But the match results do come out on or about St. Patrick's Day. So I hope that kind of is the general answer to the question you were looking for.
The next one I have in the Q&A is if you take a rotation, say, further from Rowan, would you be expected to come back for OMM lab, etc.?
Yep. No. Answer. That's what you get for having a surgeon do this. The long and short of it is there are certain hubs that don't have. It's funny you asked that specific thing. Just those 2 weeks of OMM and the pain management, some of our outside hub sites do come back down for that. Absolutely. Actually, the fun of it since I started here has been trying to find housing options, because yes, a lot of people couch surf. Okay, we're getting too old for that, guys. All right, like you got this. So we've negotiated with local hotels, and we even looked into Airbnbs. And we're trying to make housing opportunities as well. But that being said, yeah, there are certain rotations that some hubs can't do, like OMM and our pain management rotation. Yes, true.
Okay, a student asks, how do rotations work for HPSP students? I heard that it is best to rotate at the hospital that would potentially like to do your residency.
The HP, the acronym, I assume not the military, but the HP, the
I think that question might have come in. I think that question was from Jarrell. Jarrell, can you clarify what HPSP is? Yes, military.
so military, great, no problem. Our military students are actually on their own unique schedule. They get priority for everything actually, because their schedule and like when they have to rotate, when you have to go do basic training, etc. Whenever it falls, it falls. Like the seas part and you go, and we make it up later. Like there's been you are the only cadre of students that gets that level of accommodation. So yes, if that hospital will accept you, you have to, there's many where you have to earn the right to rotate there. Your grades have to be a certain level, etc. So it's not just a given. You can get in, absolutely, we make that happen.
Okay, the next one is for the residency match stats you mentioned, did all of those people match the first year that they applied?
All but like I think 5, 7. Again, I left it downstairs. I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah, some people actually elected to do a research year and then try again. So they aren't immediate senior grads, but the you know what? Let me correct myself. I have 2 spreadsheets. Truth. 2 spreadsheets. One total, meaning this year's seniors plus anyone from last year, including those who did a transitional year, sort of like an internship alone, and then they were going to link it to a residency, right? So that's the one big graph. The numbers I actually gave you, the 199, were our fourth year seniors. So yes, 199 went to the match, 195 matched. 2 didn't want GME. Those were our fourth year seniors to be clear. But I do have numbers on the second time around. It's tough. If you don't match the first time around or you elect to do research years, this or that, you really have to be a standout. It's about 50-50. If I have to be a really general, um, and that's pretty osteopathically national. I don't want to sit here and tell you that's like a Rowan stat. But based upon my colleagues who have been watching those numbers for many years, actually, it seems to be sort of a national thing.
Alrighty, this one is a little bit of a piggyback. Is there a different process for those that are applying for military residencies?
Yes, that's all I got. Been doing this job for 4 months, y'all. Give me a break. Born and raised in Jersey, by the way. I married a Texan. Sorry about the y'alls. Um, yes, John, I knew you like that. But there is. It's funny, of all the things I have soaked into my brain for processes, like my background's in curriculum development. What did I do? I came in and I started diving into the individual clerkships and making sure they had all the infrastructure they needed because I'm about to grow our class, right? I want to make sure A, we have all the hubs we need and they're solid. B, we have the curriculum and it's solid. When it comes to process, I put that on the back burner. I'm not even going to lie to you because my staff is rock stars of human beings, all of them. And they have been taking care of everything since day one. In fact, our registrar is, I love her, the most particular person on earth, exactly who you want as your registrar to make sure all of your I's are dotted and T's are crossed as you go out into these rotations and as you head towards graduation to make sure you have all of your requirements. So our registrar and one specific person in my team handles all of the military people, and she assures me, like literally, it doesn't matter. They're military. They got to do basics. They're gonna go. Okay, okay. Just the C's part. But there is a different process. I have more to learn. That's the truth.
Um, Again, another kind of piggyback off of one of the last ones, but how do students find housing during rotations?
Um, Honestly, kind of the same way you generally find housing. Just most people get apartments, and what will happen is Rowan has a website whereby if you choose to, you sign up for sublets. So as you're up in North Jersey, but you have to come down, maybe you sign up for a sublet. And by saying Rowan, I mean Rowan University. So both the medical schools plus the undergrad, like we all get in on this. And so, people just sort of do a house swap sometimes. Other people will stay with their really good friends who they made in the first 2 years. Other people, their families are down here, or their families are up there, and their friends stay with friends and family as well. That tends to be the top reasons, not the top reasons, excuse me, but the top answers I get when I ask students, "How do you handle this?" Because finance is something I've just been like so sensitive about as a doctor too, like how much meds cost, make sure I prescribe generic, that kind of stuff. But the cost of gas for you guys to drive up and down, like the cost of, so, the subletting, you have a lease, right? So you don't want to have to do another lease like for a month thing down here. So we, yes, that's something that we actively working on. And actually, Paul and her team, have we completely stole some of your housing resources and put them on the ClinEd website as well to share with our students. And I think the sublet, some of the resources you'll have on your accepted students website will be some of the similar ones you'll see in years forward.
Okay. How do international rotations fit into applying for residencies?
That's a big one. Honestly, international rotations are more for the experience than for getting a residency. And that's not to say you shouldn't do them. I think they're amazing experiences. But I will say, when it comes to getting a residency, audition rotations simply mean you go and do a fourth year level rotation in the department in which you want to get a residency spot. So if you want to be internal medicine, you do what's called a sub-I or a sub-internship in internal medicine with their residents, and you hang out with the residents and you work with the residents and you act like a mini intern on their service. If you want to go into OBGYN, you go and you do rotations at different hospitals in their labor and delivery units and in their outpatient offices, and you show your stuff. You teach the medical students, the third years, what you've already learned. You are asked to do more in an operating room or a delivery room. Like it's that next level rotation. So if you want to get a residency, we talk about audition rotations, but international rotations are simply for an amazing experience and that, make you a more well-rounded doctor, which is never a bad idea.
Sorry, I kind of lost my place here. Do students stay at the same hub throughout third year and for the two other core rotations in fourth year?
They do stay there through third year, and they can choose to do their last two rotations fourth year at their hub. Yes, you can have that choice, or you can do them elsewhere. Flexible. The flexibility of fourth year is pretty tremendous. But again, most people do actually elect to go back to their hubs for those two.
Okay, next one. Do you do all the rotations for the year, third or fourth year at the same hub?
You do most of your rotations third year at the hub and potentially ICU and ER. Otherwise, you're all over the place. You're wherever you want to be, frankly. Some people like to stay in the same place. We encourage you, at least in the fall, as you're auditioning, to get around to different places with residency programs. But after that, you can do maybe 2 weeks of an online rotation. We have a great, actually, radiology rotation through the AAMC. That is an awesome experience and online. So there's all different ways to rotate: international, online, at your hub, and or anywhere, frankly, in the country.
Oh, this is a little bit of a different one. With the residency merger, do we also need to take the USMLE exams in addition to the COMLEX exams to be competitive?
Depends what you want to go into. Truth. There are certain specialties, and we have this data and we provide it to you guys. There's national surveys that go out to program directors, and also there's data that rolls back retrospectively after matches. So if you want to go into, say, orthopedics, it's a very competitive specialty. Dermatology, ophthalmology, these are highly competitive specialties. Yes, you take both. Um, but for many things, even so, interventional radiology, yes. Diagnostic, it depends. That you don't have to. There's family medicine, OB, et cetera. Many places absolutely accept complex scores. There's a really interesting paper that actually just came out. I want to say it was academic medicine, I forget, where they actually have a table. They ran the stats because enough people have taken both now that they have a chart that correlates the scores. If you get between this and this on the complex, it's equal to this score on the USMLE. And that is now it's peer reviewed and it's now available to all program directors. So the equivalency of our exams and how to interpret scores is becoming more and more clear to people all over the country. By the time you guys hit the process, it'll be a much more streamlined one. We're 2 years in now, right? But by the time you guys hit it, like 4 years in, well, Yeah, basically, and 6 years rather. And I think it'll be a much more streamlined process. But so it does depend on what you want to go into. And we start advising you pretty early, the truth, based upon like what you think you might be interested in, and we give you time for both.
So for audition rotations, what if you're interested in multiple specialties like radiology or OBGYN together?
Then you gotta do them both. You just book audition rotations in all of them and figure out what you want to do because you can only do one residency at a time. So, it's one of those things where, yeah, you just you go and you audition at residency programs. It's interesting because splitting it that way makes it tougher on you, right? Because let's say I want to do OB and John wants to do radiology, and I got like 4 months to do these audition rotations. I'm gonna do four OB rotations. I'll be at four different residency programs. I'm going to be seen by all those people, right? But John's like kind of on the fence between the two. He'll do two and two, and he'll basically has to choose one, right? And he'll only have had half the audition rotations that I did. So it's one of those things where what we kind of recommend is some shadowing experiences, in your third year to spend more time. Go in, just do call for like one day, like do a 12-hour daytime call on a weekend on OB and just hang out, just experience these things. Ask if you can, like on a day of your internal medicine resident, clerkship, can I go hang out in radiology today? Sure. And you go and you hang out, right? They hook you up with a certain individual and you sit there and you read films with them all day and you talk to them about programs and talk to one of their residents. So we encourage you and teach you kind of how to navigate sort of just these shorter experiences. And then, fine, maybe you do 2 weeks of OB and 2 weeks of radiology that first month, and you really just try them both out consistently. And then, you already have one of them booked, thing you think you might want to do. That's July. You book one in August, and then you kind of wing it. You hope you can get September and October. So people that are split, it's a little tougher on them. It's true, but that's kind of how we help you navigate it.
And then piggybacking on that one, the audition rotations would be the rotations we choose during our fourth year, correct?
The rotations that you choose specifically in the beginning of your fourth year at places where you intend to interview for residency.
Someone is curious, did anybody match into dermatology from Rowan this year?
With two opthos, I don't think we might have had one derm. I know we had one last year. Everybody was talking about the individual that happened to do it. I don't know because it depends if somebody wants it, right? Like, so that's the hard part. But yeah, I remember our match day. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to like kind of watch the videos of different match days across the country, right there. Um, the cool thing is they're all very similar. Everybody's in a room and their families are there and it's all exciting and they open their envelopes and then we give them these signs. I matched that, right? So you start reading the signs as you walk through the room and you start talking to people like, oh, it's really cool optho. I talked to two optho friends. I don't know about derm, but we have in the past, yes. And we won. There we go. Won this year, Paula. All right, there you go. Won this year.
I looked up. There's one. Yeah.
Yep, cool. But yeah, it's actually how you do your auditions for derm are completely different. It's so competitive, they don't even offer 4-week electives because they have so many people that they want to see. They only offer 2 weeks, and we have to make exceptions to our how many 2-week rotations can you do rule for these people, and we do. We pretty much only allow you to do 2 2-week electives because 2 weeks is not, I don't know, just not the best learning experience. It's not the highest caliber. You don't really get evaluated or feedback. It's a very different experience. But there are certain fields you may only want to spend 2 weeks in and get an exposure to. We appreciate that. So, but derm is all 2 weekers. So we have the people that went in for it. Their entire fall were these 2-week blocks where they were flying, and it was almost all virtual. So all these derm rotations were pretty much virtual too. It was the most unique interview season I have ever seen. Very, very interesting.
Can you do audition rotations in any state?
Yep. That was easy. We know one of those.
And then I got messaged one. Is there a list of the hub sites online anywhere that students can access?
Yep. Next one. Yeah, it's on our website. Done. It's on our website, and they're all direct links to the hospital's website. So yes, when you go on our Rowan-Virtua website, you will find it.
Someone asked, out of curiosity, is psychiatry considered a primary care specialty?
I don't think so. We had a ton of people match psych this year, a ton, and some at amazing programs. I think we had one at Georgetown. We had one. Oh man, it was. I printed this. I killed a tree for this. I'm so mad I left it downstairs. I don't print things out, right? We don't print things out anymore, but I made sure I did. But no, truly, we had a very, very large contingent of people interested this year, and the program variety was something we're actually quite proud of.
Sarah, is it my turn or your turn?
Go for it, John.
My turn? I'm going to go. How often are you on campus during clinical rotations in respect to first and second year? So, like, how often in your third and fourth year do you have to come on campus?
Rarely, once a month at best. There are some rotations that have what we call an OSCE as part of the assessment at the end of the rotation. So you take a test, a nationally standardized exam. All the most of the osteopathic students in the country take it if you elect to. It's called a COMAT, and it's like the shelf exam in the MDs, same thing. And many of our clerkships have an OSCE, which is objective standardized clinical encounter. But basically, you walk into a standardized patient room and you do certain things. You have to interview a patient, take a history, do a physical. The OBGYN one, you have the simple things like you have to place a Foley catheter and understand sterile technique. And there's just a process. Pediatrics, you do a newborn exam. On a mannequin, but nonetheless, like just to ensure that you learn these processes and you have to demonstrate your clinical skills as well as your medical knowledge. So the rotations with OSCEs, yes, all of our students do come back for those. I will say there's really no hub that's more than about an hour and a half away. Truth.
Are students at the same hub site doing the same rotations at the same time or different?
Different. Yep, we have 12 different tracks, and if anything, maybe there's 2 of you on IM or 2 of you on FP or 2 of you on general surgery, but other than that, it's one at a time for the most part. But if there's a ton of you at that site, maybe 2. So if there's 20 people at a site, maybe 2 or 3 are doing the same thing at a time. But that means that site can handle that, That's a much bigger hospital system. Smaller hospital systems only have 6 students total at the entire hub. Larger hospital systems like St. Joe's up north, 20. Atlantic Care in Atlantic City, 20. Spirit, 20. Jefferson-Virtua, 80.
Did a lot of folks match into emergency medicine?
This was like the weirdest year for EM. It's funny somebody asked that. Across the country, an ungodly number of EM programs went unfilled. Unfilled. Like my grandma could have wanted an ER and gotten it this year. That is unheard of. It is usually a fairly competitive field. No, my grandma did pass away a few years ago. But truly, the long and short of it is, it's just a very strange year for ER. So yes, everybody that wanted it, did, to my knowledge, get it. And the programs they were very much wanted as well. So, which was great for our students, but a very strange year for ER across the country, because at the end of the match, when that all runs, there's this list of unfilled positions in the country, and there were pages of ER spots. It was very interesting. I do not expect that in the future. Obviously, it was just a very strange year. If you ask me about this year, I will answer you that way. Next year could be the exact opposite, truly.
I'm taking a look. I think that catches us up on questions. You see any more, Sarah?
No, I'm not seeing any more on my end. Oh, what happens if, heaven forbid, someone does not match? Can they still latch onto a residency?
Yes. So here's how Match Week works in a nutshell. Yeah, I said week. I didn't say day, right? Match day tends to be a Friday. Okay. So on Monday of that week, you just get an email saying you did or didn't match. Okay. So you know right up front, you've got a spot. You don't know where that is, but you know you have one. So now you can breathe for the rest of the week, right? If you get that email that says you didn't match, all right, what happens? Well, they've already run the algorithm, right? All people that matched know where they matched. That packet of unfilled spots becomes available. That packet rolls out to the schools and to the students who didn't match. Students then get 45 applications. You can apply to 45 spots in any field you want. Let's say you went for orthopedics, but your board scores weren't there. Your research wasn't there, and you decide, okay, I understand. I'm going to do family med and do a sports med fellowship. You can go 45 family med programs. Or you say, I'm not sure, FMIM, I just don't know. You can do half and half. You can whatever. You're like, I throw in an OB for fun. Like, no, you don't want to do that. But you can truly apply 45 programs, all of these unmatched spots. Fine. You resubmit your application. I would, most people update their personal statement, but the letters of rec you have are the letters of rec you have. You have to explain yourself in your personal statement, and then out go the applications. Then you sit and you wait over the course of that's Monday. Tuesday morning, applications open. You submit all day Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday, program directors start calling you. Tell me more about yourself, what's going on, why do you want to do this? Like, da, da, da. The program directors with the unfilled spots start reaching out to the candidates. So now you know who's reached out to you. Let's say there's 5 or 6 people that reached out to you. Now you know. You put in another rank list of those 5 or 6 people. You submit that. Thursday, there's 4 rounds, what we call the SOAP. It used to be called the scramble, now it's the SOAP. It stands for something, I apologize. I have no idea. But the 8:30, they run the first round of it. And if you get an email says you matched, great. If you didn't, you wait. 11:30, and it runs a few different times. If you are unmatched at the end of the SOAP, Friday morning, it's a true scramble. The list of spots still available in the country rolls out, and Friday morning, you're on the phone calling. Now, the question was, if you don't match, can you still latch onto a residency program? That's the process. If you are still unmatched at the end of that, many people will do a research year. Many people will do primarily a research year, I'll be honest with you. But there are other opportunities within each field, like orthopedics has opportunities, internal medicine. We have a student who actually has chosen to do a research year between his second and third year in pathology. He got matched into a hub and called us to say, listen, I'm going to give my hub spot up because I want to go do this. I really want to be a pathologist. I'm going to go do a research year now to best position myself for my applications. So not something that's super common, but definitely something that happens. But yeah, it's a tougher position for the most part, as long as you were thoughtful and had a variety and thought to like do transitional years that give you options for what residencies you can do in the future. And of note, our school for this process, we're not just like, good luck, see ya, sorry. No, there's a team of us who we know exactly who our students were that weren't matched on Monday. and we all got paired up with 1 to 3 people, depending, and we worked directly with them to counsel them and get them through the week. So my buddy and I, we went back and forth. I mean, multiple times. That night I'm up at 10:30 at night editing his new personal statement and making sure his application is primed for Tuesday morning. And then we strategize throughout the week, like, hey, what do you think? Research here, go into the SOAP. Like, I'm like, no, you want clinical medicine, go into the SOAP. Like, so, you have sort of a one-on-one advisor through that entire week, if God forbid that
And I
happens.
think
A
we
lot more than
probably
I'm
had
sure you
time.
want.
What'd you say?
Probably a lot more than y'all wanted to know about the match and the SOAP, but
Helpful. So I think we probably have time for one more question. And I got this came up in the Q&A and a couple students messaged this. What are some things that residency programs look for in a student? Like, what are some things that make you like a standout from all the other students applying?
let me answer that in two distinct ways. One is specialty specific, and one is, sort of residency program director to trainee. Okay. So specialty specific, there are criteria. You know, you want ortho, you better do 7 publications. You want radiology, you better do 3 to 4. Publish things plus research experience plus yada yada yada. You got to show up at their fracture conferences. You got to, and we know this, and we teach you this, like all schools will. But truly, sorry, Paul. So the there's criteria by which you want to strive to achieve so that you have your application primed. But what if there's 50 of you, right? Like with that level of application, what makes you stand out is number one, you didn't ignore or think that, well, but I'm doing this, so I don't have to do that. Like, no, no, no. There's data for a reason. But two, I think people that work very well in a team and that are trainable, meaning when you come on that audition rotation and you engage the residents and you assimilate into the team appropriately for your level and for your level of knowledge, and you ask the right question, when we see that you can sort of become part of that residency group, function clinically independently, know what you know and know what you don't, but show that excellent level of competence at your level of training, you don't have to know everything, but you have to be willing to learn it and interested in learning it and fit into that team. Those, I think, are the two key sort of fundamental things that I think we all look for. Especially in smaller programs, the interpersonal will become more important. In larger competitive programs, it's going to be numbers and what have you, that prestige they want to maintain. That's fine. But in the vast majority of programs in the country, it's going to be interpersonal skills, basic direct bedside patient care, and a little bit of humility. That's the truth, because I think that's what you need to be a good doctor at baseline.
I think that was an excellent note to end on, Dr. Tartaglia. Thank you.
Oh,
So
great
before
questions,
we
guys.
sign off, any closing thoughts, Dr. Tartaglia or Paula?
I defer to Paula.
No, I feel like a sponge. I'm taking notes. It's been such a great session, and I just thank you so much for your time and for enlightening us today. It's really, really great. So thank you, Dr. Tartaglia, for your time today, and our students for spending the time. I think you had really great questions.
Yeah, no, you guys really, I mean, from the variety from third year right up through match and to residency training, I can see you guys are really engaged. And, being a doc is all about outcomes, right? Like, how you treat is one thing, but how does the patient do is all that really matters, right? So, we can teach and teach and teach, but how do our students do out there in the world? And the fact that you're focused on that already, like what school is going to make me the best candidate for residency and to be the best physician? Like those are the questions we want to hear. Like, if you guys are who are accepted students, then I'm ecstatic because you're already clearly that teachable bunch that have their eyes on the prize that we appreciate. So good luck to you all.
Thanks so much, Dr. Tartaglia. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here. I think this, like I said, this is an excellent note to end on. We hope to see you all at the next couple of sessions. I think we have 2 more left in the series. We'll be getting in touch really soon about an accepted students day. I know there were some questions on that. But thank you all for being here. Get outside this weekend. It's supposed to be beautiful. Stay well, stay hydrated, all that good stuff, and we'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.
Thank you, John. Bye.